The anticipation surrounding the rumored rematch between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Lamont Roach is palpable, a clash steeped in unresolved tension from their first encounter. That initial fight, which ended in a controversial majority draw, left fans, analysts, and fighters buzzing with debate, and the stakes for the rematch feel even higher. The first bout exposed vulnerabilities in Davis that few had seen before, while elevating Roach's status as a legitimate threat. As the boxing world awaits confirmation of the August 16th date, the conversation around this fight is a mix of technical analysis, psychological speculation, and raw excitement. Both fighters are preparing with a sense of urgency, knowing this rematch isn't just about a title. It's about legacy, redemption, and proving who belongs at the top. The first fight between Davis and Roach was a gritty, competitive affair that didn't deliver the explosive knockout fans expected from Davis, known for his devastating power. Instead, it was a tactical battle that showcased Roach's ability to hang with one of the sport's most feared punchers. The controversy erupted in the 9th round when Davis took a knee, citing eye irritation from grease in Roach's hair. Many, including fans and analysts, argued it should have been scored as a knockdown. If it had, Roach might have walked away with the victory and the belt. The referee's decision not to call it a knockdown shifted the momentum, and the fight ended in a draw that satisfied no one. Roach's camp cried foul, believing they were robbed. Davis, meanwhile, seemed more frustrated with his own performance than the officiating. For a fighter accustomed to leaving opponents on the canvas, the draw was a blemish, a rare moment where he didn't look invincible. Roach's performance was a revelation to many. He wasn't just surviving against Davis. He was outboxing him at times, using movement, angles, and precise counters to frustrate the champion. His ability to stay composed under pressure and avoid getting caught by Davis's power shots showed a level of skill that casual fans hadn't fully appreciated. Coming from the same DMV boxing scene as Davis, Roach wasn't intimidated. The two have known each other since their amateur days, sharing connections through coaches and local gyms, which added a layer of familiarity to the fight. This wasn't just a professional contest, it felt personal. Roach didn't just want to win. He wanted to prove he could stand toe-to-toe with someone he'd grown up alongside, someone who'd become a global star while Roach grinded in relative obscurity. Davis, for his part, didn't look like the same fighter who'd stopped opponents like Mario Barrios with a single, perfectly timed uppercut. Barrios, who faced Davis in June 2021, knows what it's like to be in the ring with him. Up until the 11th round, Barrios was competitive, even winning rounds with his boxing. But Davis's explosiveness turned the tide, ending the fight with a shot that left Barrios reeling. Reflecting on the Davis-Roach fight, Barrios acknowledged Roach's skill, noting that he's not an opponent to be overlooked. He described Roach as a formidable fighter who came from the same ecosystem as Davis, making the matchup uniquely challenging. Barrios believes the first fight was closer than many expected, but he still leans toward Davis in the rematch, citing his ability to adapt and his relentless pressure. However, he was quick to warn against underestimating Roach, who proved he could go the distance and push Davis to his limits. The 9th round incident remains the focal point of the controversy. When Davis took a knee, it wasn't just a physical moment, it shifted the narrative of the fight. Roach gained momentum, and Davis, for the first time in his career, looked vulnerable. Post-fight, Davis attributed the moment to grease from Roach's hair irritating his eye, but the explanation didn't quell the criticism. Fans and analysts dissected the moment, with many arguing it was a clear knockdown that should have been scored. Roach capitalized on the moment, not just in the ring but in the court of public opinion. He's been vocal on social media, reposting breakdowns of the 9th round and engaging with fans who believe he was robbed. His confidence hasn't wavered. If anything, it's grown. Training updates and behind-the-scenes footage show a fighter who believes he can finish Davis in the rematch, not just outpoint him. Davis, never one to shy away from a war of words, has responded to Roach's provocations with a mix of dismissive jabs and promises of a decisive finish. The bad blood from the first fight hasn't faded, it's intensified. Davis's social media posts, including one showcasing black Nike boots with a caption hinting at "going underground," suggest he's channeling a darker, more focused energy for this fight. In boxing, those black boots carry a cultural weight, often symbolizing a no-nonsense, aggressive mindset. Davis knows the stakes. A second questionable performance, even if he wins, could damage his reputation as one of the sport's most feared fighters. For years, he's been known for his timing, power, and ability to carry that power into the later rounds. But against Roach, he looked human, And in boxing, once a fighter shows mortality, opponents start to believe they can exploit it. The rematch is about more than just settling the score. For Davis, it's about erasing doubts. The draw exposed cracks in his aura of invincibility, and another close fight could embolden future opponents to follow Roach's blueprint. Roach, meanwhile, sees this as his chance to cement his place among the elite. The draw didn't hurt his career, it elevated it. He proved he could stand with a champion, go 12 rounds, and arguably outbox him. That confidence will shape his approach in the rematch. Sources close to Roach's camp say he's doubling down on cardio, defensive timing, and movement, skills that gave Davis trouble in the first fight. He knows Davis will come out with more urgency, likely pressing the action early to avoid another drawn-out chess match. Roach's plan is to make Davis pay for that aggression, using angles and counters to frustrate him and build momentum. The boxing world has been vocal about the rematch, with fighters, trainers, and promoters offering their takes. Teofimo Lopez, the WBO champion at 140 pounds, is a firm believer in Davis's ability to close the show. He praises Davis's intelligence, not just his power, noting how he sets traps that opponents don't see coming. Lopez respects Roach's tools but believes Davis's precision and timing will be too much. Chris Colbert, who sparred with Davis and knows Roach's style, echoes this sentiment but gives Roach credit for his composure. He predicts Roach might last longer this time, but a single mistake could lead to a devastating finish from Davis. Regis Prograis takes a psychological angle, suggesting that Roach will struggle knowing he's already felt Davis's power. The memory of those shots, Prograis argues, will influence Roach's decisions in the ring. Isaac Cruz, who pushed Davis in one of his toughest fights, offers a more balanced perspective. He acknowledges Roach's slickness and durability, noting that he can make the fight competitive for longer than most expect. But Cruz, like others, points to Davis's power as the deciding factor. Devin Haney, despite his rivalry with Davis, also leans toward him, arguing that Roach lacks the firepower to match Davis's explosiveness. Gary Russell Jr., however, stands out as the lone voice picking Roach to win. A fellow DMV native, Russell believes Roach has grown since the first fight and can take Davis into deep waters, where anything can happen. Leonard Ellerby, tied to Davis's rise through Mayweather Promotions, is the most theatrical, predicting a quick and decisive finish for Davis. He dismisses the idea that Roach can outbox him for long, insisting that Davis's showmanship and power will end the fight early. The varied perspectives paint a complex picture. Most see Davis as the favorite, not just because of his record but because of his ability to punish hesitation. They describe him as a cerebral fighter, patient and efficient, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Roach, while respected, is seen as facing an uphill battle against Davis's combination of power and IQ. Yet, there's an acknowledgement that Roach isn't a typical opponent. His familiarity with Davis, his technical sharpness, and his durability make him a unique challenge. The first fight wasn't a fluke. Roach proved he belongs in the ring with the best. Tactically, the rematch will hinge on how both fighters adjust. Roach is likely to stick with what worked: movement, quick counters, and staying out of Davis's range. He'll aim to frustrate Davis early, building confidence and forcing him to chase. Davis, on the other hand, needs to make a statement. Expect him to press the action from the opening bell, throwing more combinations and looking to land power shots early. He can't afford to let Roach settle into a rhythm. The psychological pressure is immense for both. Davis is the headliner, the star expected to dominate. Another close fight, even a win, could hurt his momentum. For Roach, this is a career-defining opportunity. A win, or even another strong showing, would solidify his place among the elite. The first fight's controversy still lingers. The ninth-round non-knockdown call remains a sore point, with many believing it cost Roach the victory. The debate over whether Davis was diminished, by age, a change in trainers, or mental lapses, adds another layer of intrigue. Some point to his switch from coach Calvin Ford to Barry Hunter as a factor, noting tension in his camp. Others argue that Davis simply wasn't fully engaged, underestimating Roach's preparation. Whatever the case, Davis knows he can't afford a repeat. His power remains his greatest asset, capable of changing a fight in an instant, as Barrios learned. But Roach's ability to neutralize that power for 12 rounds suggests he's cracked part of the code. As the rumored August 16th date approaches, both camps are ramping up. Roach's preparation is quieter, focused on refining the skills that worked last time. Davis, meanwhile, is signaling a more aggressive approach, both in his training and his public persona. The black Nike boots, the cryptic posts, they're all part of the psychological game. This rematch isn't just about what happens in the ring. It's about who can impose their will, mentally and physically. For Davis, it's about reclaiming his aura. For Roach, it's about finishing what he started. The boxing world is watching, and no one expects this one to end in a draw.